Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Sister Circle Live. Please like and share your page. All righty. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Sister Circle Saturdays. Please like and share your page. This is going to be a good morning. Right, ladies? Thank you so much, Dr. Mia. Lisa.
Good morning, Nina. Make sure it's not private this week.
Oh, I did. I heard we got it this morning. Like, yes, public. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Sister Circle Saturdays. Please like and share your page this morning. We're so glad to be here this morning. And again, we are, it's Breast Cancer Month, Awareness Month. So we're praying for those who are going through, and we have some that are survivors. Praise God for them, and some memory of that we have lost. So anyway, we are wearing our pink for the awareness. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Sister Circle Saturdays, and we have something great for you this morning, don't we, ladies? Yes,
yes, we do.
Okay. All right. It's 10 o'clock. Again, welcome, welcome, welcome to Sister Circle Saturdays. I am Nina Crump, your host.
And I'm Lisa Striggles, your co-host. Look, I'm still on vacation mode. I'm sorry. I just came back from my cruise last night. Let me get myself together. I'm sorry. And I'm Lisa Striggles, your co-host. And Sister Circle Saturdays is a follow-up to our Women's Life Support Conference. And each session is facilitated by women who'd like to share what they've learned to help encourage, inspire, and educate other women. Today is a Financial Fitness Saturday, and we welcome Queen Dr. Mia Russell. And she's a financial expert, published author, real estate agent, and she's going to share with us today regarding steps to get financially fit. Yes. Good morning, Dr. Russell, and thank you for your yes.
Yes,
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. I'm really happy to be here, and I hope I am able to provide some insights that will be helpful as we think about our financial fitness. So following the lead of and the theme of today's workshop, I was thinking we're entering the fall. This is a perfect time to think about what 2023 will look like for us. And as we do that, similar to your physical checkup and your physical fitness, we also want to do financial checkups. And so I want to talk to you about that. Lisa mentioned that I'm a financial expert. I think of myself more so as a general, that I have expertise in general overall well-being, and financial well-being and financial fitness is one aspect of that. Maybe we'll also have some time to talk about other areas of well-being that could be related to your financial well-being, like work. And I have spent quite a bit of time thinking about and working on work-related well-being. So to kick off this talk today about financial fitness, I wanted to see, for all of those of you that are joining us live or even on a recording, I wanted to see if you could just take 30 seconds to write down everything that you have spent money on this week. So I'm going to just wait for 30 seconds. Just write down everything you spent money on this week. All right. So that was 30 seconds. And I didn't want to give you too much time in case it was hard for you to think of everything that you spent money on. I want to start by asking, I want you all to really think about if that was an easy practice. Many times we have challenges with having to remember the way that we spend money or what we are spending money on. And that is one of these, I guess, fatal financial flaws, right? Not spending or not knowing where our money is going. We all know that we should spend less than what we earn. We know that we should shop carefully for expensive items. We know that we should check our bank balances. And we know we should have a spending plan. But oftentimes we are in this routine that doesn't involve kind of balance checks and balances. And so the first thing that I would strongly suggest you do is to begin tracking your expenses so that you can develop an accurate spending plan. Thinking about needs and wants, especially when you have financial goals, is a very important part of this process as well. But most important, we need to know where we are going, what we're doing and where we're going. If we think about this in terms of GPS, we have our starting location and our ending location, and our GPS will route us. Your spending plan will allow you to reach your financial goals in a similar fashion. But if we don't know what we're spending money on, that can derail us. So first thing I would suggest that you start doing, tracking your expenses with the goal of creating an accurate spending plan. The second thing that is critical to our financial well-being or financial fitness is our credit. Right now, because of the pandemic, or let me back up, annually, we all get, the U.S. provides we're authorized to check our credit report from each of the 3 credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, once per year. We get our credit report free. That's just the credit report, not our credit score, but nevertheless, it's the data that helps feed or build that score. Due to the pandemic, there was an exponential increase in frauds and scams. So the federal government authorized the credit bureaus to provide free credit reports once per week. So you are probably doing one of those. That is probably shocking news. It was very shocking to me. And this started really in 2020 when they started allowing us to get credit reports once a week because of the level of frauds and scams. If that doesn't tell you anything, it should tell you that what you should do right now is to go to What you should do right now is to go to annualcreditreport.com. That is the only place that is authorized by federal law to provide you a free copy of your credit report. So again, that is annualcreditreport.com. There you can access each of your credit reports, and it is important to do that at least once a year. Some people like to engage in monitoring services, but it might be an expense that you don't need. What would be helpful, or another strategy that you can try, is to space out the times that you get your credit report. So the credit reports will not have exactly the same amount of information, or the same accounts may not be reflected in the same way, but it's going to be pretty close. So perhaps you consider getting Equifax in January, TransUnion in April or May, and then Experian in September, October, right? So you can space them out, so that gives you a time to check on your credit report and to make sure that there's nothing there that is inaccurate, a fraud, a scam, etc. I set quarterly financial checkups, right? I am diabetic, and so I go to my doctor every quarter to check my A1C. In the same way, I think about my personal finances in a similar way, right? So I want to not have to check my A1C, but for now, I have to check that. At any rate, the credit report is really important, right? You want to be able to look to see what credit is listed in your name. You want to see if you have any late pay, any inaccurate reporting, right? And this could be a late payment. It could be a different amount for specific payments. It might be collection accounts. One thing that often pops up that people may not be aware of are red light cameras, the speed ticket cameras, or the red light camera. So red light or speed camera tickets. Sometimes the jurisdiction may not notify you and send it straight to a collection agency. And then that could be a collection showing up on your credit report. Easy to have resolved, and it's probably, $25 or $40. So it's easy to resolve, but it's just there and you might not know about it if you're not checking. And that will impact your credit score. The other thing that is likely to pop up are medical collections. The good news is that if it is a medical collection for under $500, there is a new law in effect that should not be on your credit report. And if it is on your credit report, it should not be affecting your credit score. This was a new expansion of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, let's say. It's new protections for us in our credit reports. When you check your credit report, what you want to make sure is that everything is accurate. If we think about this in terms of I like to think of it in terms of like we can think about it. I talked about being diabetic, right? We can think about it in terms of lab work, going to a physical, or for someone that may be in school, your transcript, right? This is the data that helps determine what your GPA is, if it's a transcript, or what some of the medications or diagnosis that you might be that will be reviewed for you, right? So when we make sure that the data is accurate or the credit history on the credit report, then we know that the credit score will be accurate. It takes time for your credit score to be improved or to improve. It takes time. And so some people look to purchase services from credit reporting companies. I strongly suggest that you not do that. That money might be better spent paying off a credit or paying off a debt, or doing something else that will be able to boost your credit score. The way to monitor your credit report instead would be to space out those credit reports that you are ordering. The other thing is that if there's anything that is wrong, inaccurate on your credit report, or maybe something that you don't recognize, or it's really old and you need some more information on it, if you dispute that account, the Credit Bureau has a responsibility under the Fair Credit Reporting Act to respond to you within 30 days. They have the burden of proof to check with the creditor to make sure that the information is accurate. If they don't confirm that the information is accurate, it must come off your credit report. So again, this is simply a button that you click when you are looking at your credit reports, and you can do that process that someone would pay you, that would charge you to do. And it is a very simple process. So the one place that you will go or should go, and I hope that you go as soon as you finish watching this, is annualcreditreport.com. Pull your credit report and also dispute anything that is inaccurate. And I want to leave you with one last thing that Lisa and Nina will be uploading for you or sharing with you on with this recording. It's our 5-minute money management checkup. And this really covers 7 critical areas of personal finance: your spending plan, credit, savings and investments, insurance, records management. We often don't talk about records management, but it is really important to know where all of your important documents are, right? You should have one place at home where you keep all of your bills. That's easy. That's an easy way to make sure that things don't get lost, forgotten. For example, a speeding ticket or speeding enforcement ticket coming through the mail. How can you make sure that it doesn't hit your credit report? Pay it quickly, right? Taxes, and also planning for the future. And the future could look like all different types of things. It could be your retirement. It could be planning for college, or planning for college for yourself, planning for college for children, today or in the future. So just thinking, it could also be estate planning, wills and trusts. So those are 7 critical areas where you always want to do a checkup on. And then I know that I want to turn it back to Lisa and Nina to see maybe if we have any questions.
Thank you, Mia.
Yes.
Yes, that was, I don't drive anymore, but I did not realize that those red light camera tickets can end up on your credit report.
Right.
Who knew that?
And
That's serious.
Right. And then you don't know about it. Sometimes you say they send it straight to the credit bureau and you don't even receive them. That's scary.
Yeah.
And I think the scarier part is someone else might be driving your car.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's why it's really important to check your credit report as, I mean, there are, I think it's something like 3 and 5 credit reports have an error. It may not be fraudulent or a scam, but it could be something that is just wrong, an address, a phone number, a place of employment. So it's just important to look at that.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't know. And you also talked about the needs versus wants. That's my big thing right there. Trying to decide what is a need versus a want. But as I stated earlier, I just came back from a cruise, and while I was on that cruise, I was like, "How can I retire and live on a cruise ship?" It's like I'm gonna stop spending my money on a whole bunch of wants, because I was like, I can get used to this. I don't need 9 pairs of shoes. I can be able to cruise twice a month.
Well, I think you all had emotional well-being or emotional fitness last week or week before last. So maybe that is a need for your emotional well-being.
Right.
Yeah.
So Dr. Mia, we have Sandy Smith. She said, with the widespread cyber attack on identity theft, what do you recommend freezing your credit? I'm sorry. Do you recommend freezing your credit?
So I don't recommend that in terms of I would not pay for a credit freeze or a monitoring service that freezes your credit. Instead, what I would do is add a personal statement to my credit report, which is free, that you can also do on each of the credit bureaus. The challenge with freezing your credit is that if you want to do something, you've got an extra step or two in order to unfreeze and then refreeze. So before you start looking for a car, for example, and you don't know how many dealerships you may go to, right? You've got to unfreeze your credit, transact the business, and then make sure that you don't forget to refreeze it. I understand the challenge of associated with identity theft, but personally, I don't freeze my credit. What I do is I monitor it. So that's I'm telling you my opinion, Sandy. And it may be different if you have already had a challenge with identity theft. You'll have a totally different perspective than I will. And I know people that I have never had my identity compromised, but I know that it is a horrible experience for people that do. And if, just while we're here, if you are concerned about identity theft, the best place to go and the best place for resources is identitytheft.gov. And that is a site that is managed by the Federal Trade Commission. The Federal Trade Commission, for a multitude of reasons, you all don't really need to know why. The Federal Trade Commission is the one that manages identity theft. And there are tons of resources, and they tell you what to do to protect yourself from it, to prevent identity theft, and to manage identity theft in case you are a victim.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Mia. So we have Kathy Reed. She said, yes, great info. Is it true that any bad information on your report will go away after 7 years? Also, if you were married and you have debt with your ex, how can you get your info updated so you don't have to be responsible for your ex's debt? Thank you, she says.
All right, Kathy, 2 questions. So the first one, I try to write these down so I don't forget. Okay, so the first one is it is not true that any or all bad credit goes away after 7 years. Certain things like public records, bankruptcy, tax liens, they will stay for 10 years. It depends on what it is, and if it was, for example, a medical collection, some of those will fall off soon, especially if they were less than $500. So it depends on the situation. If you have, if you are concerned about certain debts, I encourage you to dispute them. If you think that the time is about right, try to dispute them, and they may come off. But no, it's typically 7 or 10 years, depending on the severity or the type of account. And public records are the things that governments are typically involved in. Those will stay for 10 years. But also, before I move on, student loan debt, federal student loan debt doesn't go away at all. So if you owe student loan debt, I encourage you to, especially if you are a government employee or a nonprofit employee, to explore the PSLF, or the Public Student Loan Forgiveness Program, PSLF. If you can do that, that might also provide some relief for people with public federal loans. Now to the second question. Removing yourself, kind of disassociating yourself with debt from a spouse. So if you signed for this debt, it is your debt. It doesn't matter. If it depends on what the situation is, right? If you are already divorced, I would, that may be unfortunate, and you might just be responsible. If you are in the process of being divorced, those types of things can be included in a divorce decree. And then that is a legal obligation for one party or the other to pay, or for some other financial agreement. If it is something like a car or a house where there are ownership records, you can potentially have new documents drawn up to remove yourself. I would be careful, though, if you can't remove yourself from the mortgage or the car like the financial responsibility. I don't know that it would be wise to remove yourself from legal ownership. So, for example, if you are already divorced and you are a co-borrower on a mortgage with someone, with your spouse, you may not want to sign a quitclaim deed saying that you don't own half of the house, but you're still responsible for the mortgage. Because if the house is sold, you would not be able, entitled to any of the proceeds. So it just depends on the situation. One thing I tell everybody, and I should have started with this, was the one thing about personal finance is that it's all personal. And there is while I can certainly say you should all have a spending plan, you should all check your credit report, almost everything else is nuanced because of our personal situations.
Dr. Mia, what do you think about the third-party companies that folks go to fix their credit, to purchase a home, or, they're trying to get their, these fixed credit companies? What do you think about them? Is she smiling?
I don't like that. And I don't like it because I know people pay more money than what you can do it for free.
Right? Yeah.
And I know that some people, I've had conversations with people where they argue that they don't have the time, the discipline, perhaps, to follow up, the interest, right? We all are juggling many competing priorities. But the money that you would pay a quote unquote credit repair company, I use these air quotes because I don't really think anyone can repair your credit, right? That's the first thing. If they do it, it's a short-term thing, and most of the things come back. I don't think you want a short-term fix. You want like a meaningful, accurate, right? You want it to be right. So if you were to spend $25 a month, right, or you pay somebody $1,000, right, whatever, I see all different types of models to help you repay your credit. That is money that you could pay to pay off something that's going to pop back
Exactly.
up.
Right.
So there are people that will do this to help you for free, like nonprofit organization, housing counseling organizations. They will help you do that type of stuff for free. They get funding from the state or the federal government to do that. So if you're looking, you can look for HUD approved housing counseling agencies. They often have counselors that will help you with that. And you can do a Google search for your city or your state, your county, and look for HUD approved, HUD as in Housing and Urban Development, the federal agency, and see what HUD approved housing counseling agencies are in your neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good information.
Yeah, very good.
I hate paying for something I can get for free. I like to keep my money in my pocket in the bank. It's like,
yes, it's long term. And you were talking about a spending plan. I know they were talking about the PDF, but in the spending plan, can you just tell us a few things how to plan your spending?
Sure. So I think, yep, certainly. So I think there are a couple of things in your spending plan. There are some benchmarks, right? So if I live in the Washington, D.C. metro area, so housing takes up a big chunk of my budget, right? And we have to think about how much we pay for something like where we live, right? But then we still have things like food. And a big part of our food budget is not just the grocery store, but it's eating out. We often spend more eating out than we do buying groceries, right? Transportation, right? Whether I'm also in a DC metro area where buses are not as, I can't rely on public transportation. So you got to have a car, right? Regular personal care, maintenance for your home, your car, your whatever you own, right? Or those types of things. But there are also factors like childcare, which we know also take up a huge part of people's budget. Debt payments, right? The goal is to reduce some of your debt so this doesn't take up so much of your budget. But whether it's student loan or you have credit cards or other types of loans, those are also a big part of people's budget. What I think is most important for people to do is to really track all of their expenses and then categorize where they're spending money, right? I find that my budget, I'm not embarrassed because I know I'm not alone, right? But Starbucks takes up a lot of my budget, right? Coffee out takes up a lot of my budget. I know better, and I try to buy coffee, but every once in a while, I find that my Starbucks habit is creeping up again, right? So I try to set alerts for myself when I hit a certain number, because I know this is one of my weaknesses, right? I think that only because I track my expenses will I realize that I find like a budget leak. Right. To me, it's okay. You should enjoy your life. I mean, I don't know that I'll be like Lisa and able to live on the cruise ship, but
look, that's what I'm working towards. No Starbucks. I'm not buying any more clothes. I don't need I'm working that thing out.
But if I realize that, okay, I'm only able to do $20 a month at Starbucks, right? Then I make sure I buy coffee, because certainly coffee in the house can be just as good. I can even buy Starbucks brand if that's what I really want.
There you go.
Other people find it as entertainment. Certainly after being shut down and in and around for 2 years almost, right? Now we can't wait to get out, whether it's going on a cruise or going to the movies or whatever. We want to be able to do some things, and we should be able to enjoy life. I don't think we work and earn money just
to pay bills,
just to have to pay bills, right?
The balance, yes.
Yeah, but there's something about knowing what it is and thinking about your priorities. So in short, I guess I would say track all your expenses, figure out where you're spending money, and see if that aligns with where you're trying to go. If you realize that during the pandemic, I realized 1 month I spent almost $1,000 on eating out, and I could not. That was a shock. But I said, oh, like that doesn't support where I'm trying to go. Now, yeah,
Right.
I was sad and I was buying comfort food and blah, 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 blah. But once I knew that it was a problem, I could correct it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really the reason why we track. If you want to start building your spending plan today, right now, the other thing you can do is go back the last 30 or 60 days, looking at your bank statements or your credit card, whatever you use. Many people don't use cash that much anymore. And I think the pandemic kind of shored that up. People don't have change to give you. They can't give you change.
Right.
So you can also look at whatever cards you're using, whatever accounts you're using, and see how have you spent money. And I think the most important thing is to be honest with yourself.
Yes.
It was really, really like, I know better. I should not have spent that much money eating out, but I didn't want to cook.
Right.
And a family of 4 and everybody was home, and that's what it was. So yeah, I think being honest with yourself and thinking about all of those categories, that's how you build the spending plan.
That's good. Thank you, Doctor. We have one more question and we're going to move on. Wow, this is so good. We're going to have to get you back again. But Kathy Reed was asking, what about applying for credit cards? Does this affect your credit by having companies run a credit check?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Okay.
So credit report, the credit score is an algorithm. That's a secret algorithm. We know some roughly about what 75% of your score is made up of. It's made up of 35% is about 35% is based on whether or not you pay your bills on time. 30% is based on how much you owe. And what that means is what we call credit utilization. So the goal here is that you not charge up to your max, right? So if you have $1,000, $5,000 limit, you shouldn't be at $4,900. I used to, like Lisa introduced me as a financial expert. I used to think of myself as one. I used to. But one day I realized I didn't know what I was talking about. And I'm going to use this example because I don't mind being vulnerable. So we've always told people that you should keep your limit, your charge, what you have charged, you should max that out at 25% of your available limit. So if you have $1,000 limit, you should not charge more than $250, right? You should never carry over more than $250. One time I needed to charge my son's tuition on my credit card. I always pay my bill off every month at time. I never had any issue. My credit score dropped 100 points. And I was at 10% of my credit utilization. So it made me realize that what this algorithm is really about is about our history and our trends. So when you do something out of the ordinary, your credit score will shift because they are signaling to other creditors that you're doing something that's out of your character. And when we typically would talk about the 5 C's of credit. And the first one is character. It shows that you are a trustworthy person. I don't necessarily agree with this, but this is a way of America. And America says that if you don't pay your bills back, you are not trustworthy, and people might not give you a job. They might charge, they might. Some people won't give you a job. Some people will not give you auto insurance, or they'll charge you more, right? These are the types of things because they don't think you're quote unquote trustworthy. In the same way, my credit score dropped 100 points, and I was shocked because everything I've read, I've 20 plus years in this space. I knew that it was 25%. Right. So I'm still suggesting that you not go over 25%. But the more important thing is that you build a consistent history, right? Because that algorithm is proprietary, we don't really know, but we know that doing something out of the ordinary, meaning you go out for Black Friday shopping and you say, oh, everybody's offering to get a free credit card, save 10%, and you apply for 10 cards, it's going to hit your score immediately, right? It will, because you're doing something different. And so we have guidelines, but they don't tell us specifically. I hope that helps.
Yes, that was good.
Yeah. Good information. That was really good information.
Thank you.
That's just after I cried when my credit score dropped so much. I was like,
oh, you're right.
I know. We don't like to see it drop. No.
But the other thing,
100 points. That's a lot.
Right. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Especially it was up to maybe 850 and then it drops to 7.
It wasn't 850, but I appreciate that. I think. But the other thing I will say is, honestly, within 60 days, it was back. So when things happen, so to Kathy's point, if you open up, you apply for a card and you open it, the mere fact that you made an inquiry should impact your score about 10 or 15%, right? Much a smaller percentage than those than paying your bill on time or maxing out your limit. But it will have an impact, but also it will bounce back. Okay, it's all about your history and the trends.
Good. All right, Mia, thank you again so much for sharing.
Yes.
I learned a lot. I mean, I didn't. There was a lot of this stuff that I didn't know, and so that's why we bring people on, because we want to be educated and we want people to know better and do better. And so we appreciate your yes today. Can you give us a website? We're gonna for people who want to get the PDF, you just send us an email to NCMinistries and we'll give you a copy of Dr. Russell's PDF for today, the what she talked about, the credit history and stuff like that. But and also Dr. Russell you just wrote a book. Thank you. I would like for you to give us the website for your book.
All right. So, yes, I wrote a book that is tied to the other area of my passion, work-related well-being. And it essentially is for leaders and employees to help them think about ways to improve engagement at work, right? Reduce burnout and improve engagement. The title of the book is Fired Up, A Guide to Transforming Your Team from Burnout to Engagement. And it really is a guidebook with tools and resources with a lot of background on what burnout is, how is it caused, what engagement is, how can we get more of that, and what are some of the things that the levers in an organization or on a team that you can pull to create that positive and thriving environment that all people deserve to work in. That's what we believe. I co-authored this book, and it was really centered around this idea that when people talk about burnout, they make it seem like it's the individual's fault, that sits at your feet as an employee. But so many things in a work environment has to do with your leadership, organizational policies, who knows what, right? Many times we're thinking about, how did this come into play? Why is this a new policy, or why is this our new process? So that's what the book is about. And that book can be purchased wherever you buy books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, but also our website, thinkfiredup.com.
Oh, I love it.
Thinkfiredup.com, yes. So I hope that it is helpful to anyone that chooses to look into it.
Yes.
Awesome. Right. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, well, that's just the end of our presentation today from Dr. Russell. So much good information. All the comments are saying, all the good chats about the information you provided today, and we thank you. Today starts our NCM's popcorn, double good popcorn fundraiser. So for those of you who participated in the past and asked us to bring it back because the popcorn is so good, we'll be getting information about that later on today. And we are also starting a t-shirt campaign coming up shortly. And we also want to remind you about our Toys for Tots brunch, which is December the 3rd. If you haven't purchased your ticket, and you can make donations on our website, and you can also purchase your ticket if you'd like to purchase a ticket to the brunch. If you want to donate toys, we'll have all that information on the website.
Yes.
Okay. So that's it. I'm overwhelmed. Please forgive me. I'm still on cruise mode. Okay.
You know how some folks get when they on cruises, come off cruises, but we're glad you're back safely.
Right. And I woke up and I was like, where's breakfast? Wait a minute. So welcome. Thank you again for everyone for participating in Sister Circle Saturdays. And I turn it back over to our wonderful host, Nina.
Yes. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much, Dr. Mia. You are amazing. And everybody enjoyed it. People, if you just tuned in, you can see our replay. But I'm so excited. Thank you for saying yes, Dr. Mia. Thank you for everyone who tuned in this morning. Hope you have a blessed week. But always remember to give yourself what? Big hug. A big hug. You love yourself. And just like with the finances, y'all love yourself. Let's check into that credit so you can have a better stress-free life. Amen. See you all next Saturday. Love you all. Bye, everyone. Woo!
Have a good week.